welcome back to another class of our course about the complete introduction to data science with Python. So in this class, we are still talking about matplotlib, and we are going to learn to make another type of graph, or another type of graph, yeah. So basically what we are going to learn today is how we can create a histogram inside of matplotlib. So you'll see it's not really complicated, and the result could be really interesting. Alright, so basically the first thing that we are going to do is we will import matplotlib as we always do. We are going to create our little database, create our functions, and finally give a title as well as axis name. So for X and Y axis name to our graph. And finally we'll run everything, and we can even play with the style at the end. So let's start. So basically, as I said, the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to import matplotlib.pyplot. So pretty simple, we'll just write it down. So import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. So this would be the first step. Then since we want to change the style in the future, we'll not do it right now, so we'll not import the style module right now. We'll do it a bit later when we'll finish everything. All right, so right now the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to create a database. So basically inside of a histogram, you need two things. You need a minimum of two things. So basically you will need your numbers. So basically how a histogram works, you need a certain amount of numbers. Let's say you have numbers 1 from 1 to, let's say, 100, and you have random numbers between those. This is the first step. So we're having the random amount of numbers that are from 1 to 100. Then the second thing that you need the jumps that you want inside of your histogram. So it could be jumps from 1 to 10, 1 to 20, 1 to 15, or whatever you guys want. And what it's gonna do, it's gonna calculate how much numbers are between 0 and 10, for example, or 0 and 15, or 0 and 20, for example. So we'll try it out and you guys will understand. So let's write it down. So basically the first number that we'll have, let's call it just numbers. So basically this would be our first list. We'll call it numbers. And basically here, what I want you guys to do is simply write down random numbers that are between 1 and 1 and 100. So basically you can write down as much numbers as you guys want. It's just for example purposes, and those numbers could be any numbers that you want. So just don't make a mistake and write down 2 or 3 commas, because yeah, it's not gonna be really nice. So here we go. I think I have enough numbers. All right, next thing that we want to do is we need jumps. So basically we want jumps of 5, we want jumps of 10, we want jumps of we decide what type of jumps that we want. And basically this would be how our histogram will be wide or small, basically. So let's write it down. So basically here, let's call it jumps. So let's write it down. So basically our jumps would be somewhere between, let's say it's gonna be from 1 to 15. So we'll write it down. So it's gonna be 0, then we'll have 15, then we'll have 30, then we'll have 45, then we'll have 60, 75, 90, and finally 105. All right, so right now we have our numbers and we have our jumps. The next thing that we need to do is pretty simple. We need to create a title for our histogram or our graph. So as always, we'll create a title. So let's call it, in this case, so plt.title. And here let's call it, so you can call it whatever you want. I'll call it test1 hist, since we're making a histogram in this case. All right, then we'll need the labels. So basically for X's, we'll need a label. For Y's, we'll need a label. So plt dot, as always, X label. So how we want to call our X's, let's call it test X label. And for Y's, it's going to be pretty much the same thing. So plt dot Y label. And we'll call it test Y label. Here we go. So we have everything that we need. So basically until now we have everything that we need to be able to create our histogram. Now it's time to run everything and to see what it all looks like. So basically to run everything, simply write down plt.show as we always do. Open and close the parentheses and you can run everything. So here we go. Oh, we forgot a little part of the code. So basically we need to write down the functions that we make everything work. So basically without this function, nothing would work. It's pretty simple. So we need to write down our function for our histogram. So plt, in this case, .hist. So when we have our function for our histogram, how exactly works? So basically there are 4 arguments inside of it, but we are only going to write down 3 arguments, which would be, so the first argument is pretty simple, is the numbers that we have. So basically all the numbers that we have here. And in this case, we'll just write down numbers. The second argument will be the jumps that our histogram, inside of histogram, will happen. So basically we will have jumps of 15 in this case. So our second argument will be jumps. The third argument will be the histogram type. So basically what is the type of histogram that we have? So basically there are plenty of types of histogram that exist. So we'll use bars or steps. So basically this will be the 2 types of histogram that we are gonna see today. But if you guys want to learn some more types of histogram, you can just Google it. You'll receive all the histogram types that exist. So let's write it down. So it's going to be hist type. It's the one right here. And from this moment, we'll just write down, for example, bar, since we want to receive bars. And basically, this is the type of histogram that we'll receive by default. So we'll just write down bar. All right, so when we have everything, so right now we have absolutely everything. We have our database right here. We have our title right there. We have our function right here that is ready to be run. And finally, we have our plt.show. So we can run everything and see what it all looks like. So as you can see, this is what our histogram looks like. So basically we have test1 histogram, which is the name of our histogram. We have the Y label right here. We have the X label right here, as we said. So basically the X axis and the Y axis. So our histogram is pretty much ready and works well. If we want to change the jumps, we can change the jumps right here. If we want to change the numbers that we have, we can do it right there. And basically what we can understand from this histogram, for example, if we look from 0 to 15, we know that there is 5 numbers that are between 0 and 15. We know that there is 9 numbers that are from 15 to 30. And we know that there is only 1 number that is between 30 and 45. So basically this is what we understand from this histogram. When I'm talking about histogram types, so as I said, we have bars, but we have plenty of others. So another one that is really interesting would be the step. Works pretty much the same way. So as you can see, those are steps. It's not as well as beautiful in my opinion, but once again, this is another type of histogram that you guys can have. All right, so as always, what we can do with this type of graph, we can change the style, and this is exactly what we'll do right now. So just for you guys to practice a little bit. So what we'll do, we'll just import the sub package style. So from matplotlib, import style. So basically we want to import the style sub package. And what we want to do right now is just change the style. So basically we will change the style by writing down style.use. And from this moment, just write down the type of style that you guys want. So let's try the BMH style and run everything to see what it all looks like. All right, so as you can see, this is what it looks like with the BMH style. The graph becomes a little bit different. So as you can see, this is how you guys can generate a histogram inside of Python with the use of matplotlib. And once again, this is a powerful tool. Well, the histogram is a powerful tool to be able to help you visualize your data. So that's it for this class, guys, and see you all in our next class.